we wrote these two. So yesterday we wrote these 2 paragraph essays. They're already trying to make a wave if everyone wants to filter. Okay, so yesterday we wrote these 2 paragraph essays, this assessment, to try and compare. What's interesting is to try and compare what you wrote, like what your writing looked like at the very first week of school, and then we're going to compare it to this, what we did yesterday. One of the things that I did is that I wanted to remove the biases maybe, from the class, including from myself. So what does having a bias mean? Who knows the answer to that question? What does bias mean? Favorite. Yeah, feeling a certain way toward a person. It could be a bias in a good way. It could be a bias in a bad way, right? So if I've already read your writing a bunch, I know you are like a sophisticated writer, I might be like, oh yeah, that's going to be a great paper without even reading it. So I wanted to remove all of that from the room. So what I did was I assigned everybody a number based on that original spreadsheet that I made when I did your assessment at the beginning of the year. And I remember you guys had gotten like a 1 through 10, and then you got like a 6, 7, 8, 9. And so I took that same spreadsheet and I assigned you a number based on that so that we can compare these essays back to the original essay, right? And then what I did was I cut out everybody's name. Okay, so there's no names on the papers, right? So if you look, there's like your name is cut off, and all you now are a number, whether you're 29, 36, blah, blah, blah. And then what I did is I mixed up the classes. So these essays are not anybody from your class. So you will be assessing someone from a different class based on what we wrote about yesterday, okay? And each person will have an essay, and we're going to show you how this is going to work. So yesterday we talked about on the rubric that you were going to be assessed on 5 things, right? The first one being your argument or thesis. Your second one being your connection to the video. The third part of this assessment is, did you make an outside connection? Can you bring in a text or a video or something we've discussed in class or your own personal lived experience? And then can you make that connection to your essay? And then finally, what is your conclusion? How are you going to wrap this paper up? How are you going to tell us the ending to your paper and make it a sound and strong argument, right? And then finally, can we read the paper? Is the grammar good enough so that it flows, that we understand what the person's talking about? Can we even see it? Can we read and legibly understand this paper because we're handwriting it, right? So ahead of time, we all knew what we were going to be assessed on. So what you're going to do today is you as a team, as a class, are going to assess other people's papers. And this is how it's going to work, okay? Everybody is going to get 1 paper, okay? Now, everybody in your group will end up reading every single paper. So there'll be 4, unless you're in this group, you'll have 5, okay? And you as a group are going to pick who is doing the assessing for each of these categories, okay? So one person, so say if I'm at this group and Drew is going to be our argument person, okay? So he's going to take a highlighter, hopefully a different color. I got lots of highlighters that you can borrow, okay? And he's going to be the argument person. And so Drew's going to read this paper and he's going to be like, okay, here's the thesis. He's going to highlight the thesis, okay? And then he is going to assign it a check plus, or a check minus, okay? So you can receive 3 grades on this paper. You can get a check plus, or a check minus. So how are we going to figure out how that works? Okay, if I am assigned to do argument, then a check plus would mean that the argument was clear and concise and it used some type of critical analysis, okay? You can easily find it, you can highlight it, and you're clear. This is what they are arguing. This is what they are trying to say in their paper. Here it is, check plus, okay? If you find an argument, but you had to kind of work at it and you're like, oh, I think this is the argument, I think this is where they're going, it kind of makes sense if I read the rest of the paper, then that's a check because it's not super clear, okay? If you are really struggling to read that paper and you cannot find an argument or a thesis, then it's a check minus. I would think that there's going to be very few of those, but so far there's only been like 1 or 2 out of every class of 40. So mostly you're going to fall in this check plus and check. Okay. Now, if you read a paper and it is awesome and you're like, ooh, that is a crazy way to look at that. That was really interesting. Put a star. That's what I would do. And maybe put something like good point or wow, I didn't think of it that way. Okay. All right. So then if you are the person, so Drew's going to be the argument, then Sedona would go to, she's going to be our video person. Okay. So the only thing that she's looking for in this paper is a connection to the video. Does she have a connection to the video? Did the writer bring in something about the video? At that point, she's probably looking for the words pretendian, or she's looking for the word that says like the scholar or something that has to do with pretendian, because that's what the video was about, right? So you want to end up looking for that. If you are doing the outside connection, then your job is to look through every paper and look for an outside connection. Does it connect to at least a personal experience, a societal issue, something we read about, something we talked about? Okay. And then finally, one of the people in your group, maybe Caden, is in charge of the conclusion. So Caden's going to look. Yes. I'll move my video.
The best written books or lessons on culture written. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like
best
that.
books or lessons on culture are not from an author.
Wait. The best, often the best written books or lessons on culture are not written from an author or teacher belongs to the culture.
That's an interesting.
But is that the outside connection? It's like others just like.
Well, no, that's just kind of a statement. I like that though anyway. Yeah, I mean, that'd be like a check for me, but I would highlight and star that and be like, and put, do you actually believe that? Because what are they saying there? What are they saying?
That other people are. Oh,
yeah, okay. That's good though. Okay, what are they saying in that?
They're saying that other people have higher understanding than them of their own culture.
Yeah,
And that culture is like almost like a presentation of like one's background.
that's either really smart.
I don't know. I don't think they could back it. I think they just wrote.
All right, keep going. Cause that start that because it's either really smart or really like you think someone should be. It's really the reverse of anything I've ever heard. Like it's better if you've never been in the culture to
And
talk
they
about it.
also say that if you have a good understanding of the culture, that it could be acceptable to
Do you think it's a like they miswrote it? Or do you think they meant that?
The best written books are not from. They did a bunch of erasing down here, so I feel like that would be kind of.
Yeah, read the whole thing and then see. That's an
It's a good
interesting.
paper.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm if they could argue that point, that's fascinating. Yeah.
Wait, so do I just?
Oh. Oh, now talk nicer. No, I'm doing this because you can never, like, in the videos, you don't see that there's actual discussion happening, but you guys, what are you guys trying to figure out? Or girls?
This essay is probably one of the worst I've ever read.
The worst.
And the one I'm reading right now is actually very good.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so you've got kind of the both sides,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if those two are really good, make sure that you start, if there's something that's interesting, you know, that we can talk about.
This one, it's not even like. It's so good. Dude, guys.
So good.
That's completely known. When you consider that they are
Simple
culture in bones.
Actually, real
So fake. Just a fake. Yeah.
It's an and.
So I wrote that down.
Yeah, they like they're shaking stuff. Stuff.
It's hard to say who is like. I was just saying.
These face. Oh.
That they could be
I
also.
feel like you could have done
So like, especially books, it could also take away resources and even maybe government funding by taking. It's important to have a true identity because then you really know who you are. If you will be a fake. If you will be a fake knowledge, you know, like trying to take away from you. Right. It's important to have a true identity because then people really know who you are. You're being fake and you are trying to take away from you. So,
Like I wasn't wrong for giving that check. These fake natives are called pretending and they can and are. And like they don't actually say anything in the class. Yeah, they don't say anything. It feels like they just stop halfway through. Where does it say in the video? Oh, maybe in the video. Wow.
yeah.
I don't even know if I would have done that.
Yeah.
But
Check mine through. There is no.
We're going on a tour here. Emily wants to be on tour. No, no, okay, so. Kind of fun. I should leave that in the video, my moving on.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Tell me again what you were saying about this one. What the one, huh? Why is it, what happens? It's okay, don't get camera shy. Nobody's gonna see it. Seriously, it's four people in my class that, I don't even know if they watch it. I don't think they do.
all right.
It's just the teacher that watches it. But what are they saying then in this video? Like, what is your analysis of this? Like, why? Walk me through why this one isn't that great. What are some of the things?
Summary, and it's not like they actually thought about like their opinion on it.
So
They didn't use their own voice.
they didn't use any voice. It's
They
just
didn't
like,
like include an example of how it relates to real life and like
Mhm.
how it can like how the story can relate to everybody. Like it's basically just about Native Americans.
right, yeah.
Like
Critical thinking.
Yeah.
there's no like because like they're talking about Native Americans, but they're supposed to be talking about identity too.
Yeah.
So, like
So it's just very summarizing, right? So then what was the best one that I think of your,
I got no.
or which one seemed to?
wait, let me find the one that had the personal connection.
This one?
I think I thought that was
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this one was good.
So what made that one good?
You could tell that they watched the video, like.
they hit all 4 points.
Yeah.
They hit all the 4
Which
points, yeah.
happened and all.
Some real life consequences could be that, I can read it, though. Getting a job you want because they found out who you are. Oh, like, are they trying to say like you can't, a real life consequence is like you might get fired from the job because you're not actually that identity or so that you fabricated it?
Yeah, like so like why would you lie?
Right. So do you guys think like if, can a person teach, say like Native American history and not be Native?
Yeah. They can teach.
Yeah.
it.
Just can't like overstep and be like my people.
Right, I think
Yeah.
that's what they're, I think that's the point, like, yeah. Like if you think you could definitely teach it and be respectful, but it's, if you then say, oh, I am that, and it's like, oh, but you actually,
Or like the people
actually
go
want
on TV, like pretending to be them, like.
yeah, yeah,
Just like. Making up stories.
right. And you'll even see, we're gonna watch a movie, and it's interesting to me because they cast it, the movie is cast with very, my only criticism of the movie, because it's very much like true to what my experience was, and I'm not Native, but what I grew up with around it. Everything is true, except there's a couple of people in there that are cast so like white looking or so pretty. And I researched them, and the woman is half Navajo, but her dad was like Scandinavian with blonde eyes. So she looks different, but like even when they're casting movies, even they'll sometimes look for the Native that looks the most mainstream, right? They don't get the darkest hair, like, and we see that
in a lot of movies where it's like, well, they'll get the person that yes is of that culture, but they look more like a different one. Yeah. So it's- yeah, the stereotype, or we can't have them look so like the, and I didn't think it would be like when America Ferrera was talking, right? And she's like, well, we need them to speak Latina. And it's like, but I am Latina, you know, but she wasn't enough.
Yeah, we need to say.
Okay,
Okay, are we finished? Okay, so I want to, here, I want to put this way for a second. Well, actually, you guys can talk. What did you guys think about, what I want to hear, was it hard to assess people?
No.
No. So it was clear cut. Did you feel like it was clear cut? This is, say it again, say it louder for those on the video. Clear cut what?
Clear cut, this was bad.
Okay, so was it easy to pick out the ones that you felt were bad versus the ones that you felt were good? Yeah?
Yeah.
All these kind of, I couldn't find any of the stuff.
So, okay, so everybody said, I don't think any of them were good, so don't. So if you had to guess, Cole, if you had to guess based on these essays, what would the average class grade be?
C.
Okay, so when we all have C's and B's, we're all gonna be okay, because it wasn't me, I'm just saying, it wasn't me.
Wait, no, but not our, not there. That's a different class.
Yeah, I think it's across the board. Okay.
Yeah,
What
but not
what
us.
period was it?
First.
Oh, that's my most studious period.
Oh, I thought it was us.
I thought it was us.
You said it was us.
You're your loudest. You're the loudest.
I thought second period was allowed.
Oh, the second is the loudest. You guys are the most discussion based, maybe. First is the studious, second's just loud. Third is like, you guys have good discussions that always get me in trouble. And then fourth, I don't know, by fourth, I think they're tired. Yeah. Fourth, they're like, what is going on?
These people are not.
Okay, are we finished? Is everybody finished?
Quiet.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna move on. Pause this for a second.